This hour of the show is brought to you by ZipRecruiter.com. Hiring? Post your job to 100-plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Dave. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. This is your show, America. Thank you for joining us. The phone number, if you want to talk, is 888-825-5225. Hawaii is up next. I wish I was over there. Sheena, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
I've been listening, since the start of the year, and me and my husband are totally on board and starting our baby steps and everything, but he works in the labor industry, and we're on baby step 2 right now with our debt snowball, and I just wanted to know if I should still put money aside just in case he gets laid off.
How often does he get laid off?
He just started just the beginning of the year. This is he was in retail for a while, and he just wanted to change. Mm-hmm. So I know with that industry, that they do get, right now he has a ton of jobs set up, mm-hmm. but it's just, I don't want to have to worry, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if he's not working, there's probably a good reason to worry.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I should just start on working on a emergency fund
I would
now.
do baby step 1, which is $1,000, mm-hmm. and then I would begin to get out of debt. Because this is not a man who sits around. He's going to be working.
Yes.
Even if he got laid off at that place, he's going to go get something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because your family really can't go without money.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, no, I'm going to walk the baby steps exactly. The only time I would not do that is if they came in and announced to them and said, hey, you're going to be laid off in 3 weeks. Well, then you stop and you pile up money real quick because you know there's a storm coming. But what you're doing is just generally worrying here. There's no specific information that's causing you to worry. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to work the baby steps exactly the way we laid it out then. Thanks for the call. Renee's in Denver. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Good, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, I have a question. I have a son who's 33 years old, got laid off a couple of years ago, quit caring about everything, was letting his rental property go into foreclosure. He has a 2% 30-year fixed rate. I did a hostile takeover, not legally, not on paper. I took over his townhouse and said, you are not letting that go. That is your future. That's going to be money in your pocket down the road. He's slowly getting back on his feet, and I have to say, for Christmas, I bought he and his wife the course at Financial Peace University. They're in the process of doing that. Their marriage is constantly rocky. His car broke down. Somebody loaned him a 1980-something piece of junk. There's about $50,000 to $60,000 worth of equity in this property. Mm-hmm. Do I sell it to someone who isn't financially stable at this point, give him the money and say, here, pay off your debt, get a car, get on your feet. He'll be broke in probably 3 months. Or do I continue to keep a renter in there? It's profitable at about $400 a month. I put about $5,000 to save the property. I'm almost paid back on that.
The property's not in your name.
It's not in my name.
So you don't get to make these decisions.
Well, I kind of do. He kind of I manage it. I take care of it, and he just let it go. Here, Mom, here's our account numbers. Here's what I do. I take care of everything. The renter, so he's going to listen.
Does that not scare you that you're doing this for a grown man?
No, it really doesn't, because
you're doing this for does it not scare you that you're doing this for a grown man?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, it does. It's very upsetting, and that's why I thought maybe I need to be done with it and just say,
I think
here's
I'm
your
done.
money.
I'm going to get my money out, and then I'm going to hand him his keys and tell him if I were him, I'd sell it.
Yeah, instead of just continuing.
I think you're way over the boundaries of taking over a 33-year-old's life.
Well, see, I sell real estate for a living.
I don't care. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a mother-son relationship. If I was your daughter-in-law, I would have punched you out.
Yeah, well, she was thrilled I did it because she was hoping that was the down payment for their house in the future.
Yeah, because they're kind of both used to having mommy come in and bail them out of everything.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about here. So it's just not a healthy thing that you're doing relationally.
But I'm thinking money and financially. I'm thinking someday he's going to be smart and it's going to go, here's your townhouse. You got $100,000 in equity. Thank God you finally got your life together.
See, what you don't understand is wealth comes from him getting his life together. It doesn't come from his mommy.
Right.
So you're you know, I would get my money out. I would hand this young man his keys and ask him to go be a man. That's what, son. It's time for you to be a man. I just really think you need to be a man now, son. And look at your daughter-in-law and say, I think you need to be a woman. You two need to put on your big boy pants and big girl pants and go handle life. Wow. Now, you're not doing them any favors holding their hand like they're 14 years old. You're just not, hon. So I'd let it go and let him learn life's lessons, and then he'll be better off because he's got to. You just can't. Man. Deanna is with us in Phoenix. Hi, Deanna. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
So my question is, my husband works overseas, and I'm here. Because he works overseas, we don't pay into any of our entitlement programs, i.e. social insecurity, as you call it. We also are precluded from buying a home because we don't have documentation as far as income goes.
Why not?
So,
if you're a U.S. citizen, you're supposed to file a tax return.
Well, we do, but
that's
we
documentation.
Don't claim. Right, we do, but we don't claim 100% of what we make.
Why? You lie on your taxes?
Is that what it's called?
I think so, yeah.
Not protecting my assets?
No, it's called lying, yeah.
Okay, well, the question is, we are anticipating about $30,000 bonus. And so my question is, should we take that money and set up some sort of mutual fund or Roth IRA because we have zero for retirement saved, or should we take that chunk of money and put it down on a house so that we can get into a mortgage?
Do you have any other debt?
No. We listen to you. We don't have debt.
Okay. And you have...
That was a good answer, right?
and you have your emergency fund in place, right?
It is.
Okay.
We are good.
Then that's where you would buy a house at baby step 3B if that's where you are. And let me just go off on you for a minute now. There's a high correlation between building wealth and integrity. And so if I were you, I would begin to report 100% of my income on my taxes, because it's not only the law, but it is the morally correct thing to do. I hate taxes as bad as anyone you will ever meet in your life. I cannot stand our federal government. They drive me bonkers, and I pay 1,000% of everything I owe, exactly to the penny. Not a penny more, but 100% of it, because that says something more about me than it does our government. Ronald Reagan once said, surround yourself with the best people you can find, delegate authority, and don't interfere. But in order to find the best people, you need to post your job on all the job sites. And now you can with ZipRecruiter.com. You can post your job to 100-plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll in into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 400,000 businesses. And right now, listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/Dave. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dave. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Dave. Christina is with us in Seattle, Washington. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show, Christina. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Mr. Ramsey.
Good. How can I help?
Well, I'm getting married in just over a month, and my fiance has been working on his debt snowball, and has paid off about $5,000 in the last 5 or 6 months. He has about $15,000 left, and I'm debt-free except for a mortgage and have savings beyond my emergency fund. We've talked and decided we'll use this extra savings to pay off the remaining debt once we're married.
Good.
Emotionally, however, this bothers him. He feels like he should be responsible for having to hunker down and work hard to pay off his debt, and he kind of feels like using the savings that I have is get out of debt free card. So he should be listening to you today, and I'm wondering, how would you help him just process through the emotional aspects of this?
Well, here's the thing. I've been married 33 years, and when the preacher says, in sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, he means it. There's going to be plenty of opportunities in your all's married life for you to be there for each other in areas that are weak, right? A health area that's weak, or a time of unemployment, a time of emotional distress or grieving with the loss of a loved one, all of those kinds of things, right? That's going to happen over a 50-year marriage. I hope it's a 50-year marriage, and if it is, or more, and I'm sure that some of those things are going to happen. So I think that my advice to him would be don't isolate your entire marriage experience to this one thing, as if Christina is the only one bringing something to the table here. That's going to happen, but there's a huge advantage to you all combining your lives. And I'm 100% sure, he's 100% sure, you're 100% sure, I hope, that you're not. He's not getting married to you for this money. Hasn't got anything to do with it. It just happens to be the way the chips fell into your savings accounts and so forth. Now, I would say it's very, very important that the two of you be on the same page about money. It's very important you be doing a budget together. It's very important that you be talking about saving and not doing any debt ever again. You're pretty debt averse. You've stayed away from it. He's debt averse in that he's trying to clean it up. So that's, I'm assuming you're on the same page as there. But all of that, it just feels like he's kind of getting a bailout. I get that. But I even like the old version of the old marriage vows that say, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, and unto thee all my worldly goods I pledge. Which means we're combining our lives now. This is real. It's not just two individuals. It's not a joint venture. We're not shacking up. We're married. And this is that we're unified. And there's something that's relational, spiritual, financial, physical about that. And that's what makes marriage beautiful. It's what makes it worth it for all the hard times and things you go through. So I would just say I think that using the money that you already have after you're married to pay off his debt, which becomes our debt from a relational and emotional standpoint, I can understand how he's stumbling on that a little bit. I might myself if I were in that situation. I'll just encourage you to say the benefit of having combined everything and leaning into each other is just, it far supersedes whatever little bit of guilt feelings you have of being bailed out or something. I I don't know. I don't know how to tell him to get over it, but I am going to say it's worth it, and I would still do it and work your way through whatever those emotions are. All right, Rob is in Orlando. Hey, Rob, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
Yeah, so I got mad at my debt about a month and a half ago. Since then, I've paid off about $1,300 in credit cards. And 2 weeks ago, I finished Total Money Makeover. So I realized I need to kind of go back and do baby step one. So I'm about halfway done with that. But my question today is regarding my dumb leased car. Okay. So the lease is up in February of almost another year. Mm-hmm. But I just reached my mileage limit. So I was thinking that it might be a good idea to save some quick cash and buy a junker after baby step one. Mm-hmm. That way I could park the leased car and not incur any more mileage and wear and tear penalties. So I wanted to see what you had to think about that and if there's maybe a better approach that I'm not thinking about.
Hey, I'd probably try to sell it would be my first thing. And the way you sell a lease car is the way you sell any car that you're upside down on. You have to find out what the early buyout is. If you were to pay it off today and get the title, what are they going to charge you? Compare that to the actual value of the car, what you can sell it for today, and the amount that you're in the hole. Okay, so if you did that, and I'll just make up a number. Just say it was, $17,000 is your buyout, and you can only sell the car for $14,000. So that's a $3,000 difference. Well, then you compare that to the payments you have for the next year. Mm-hmm. If your payment's $300 and you're going to put out $4,000 in payments, plus you got tags and insurance and other things while the car's sitting in your driveway, it's better off to sell it now. Now, if your payments total less than the amount you're in the hole, then you even start talking about how much less, and you think, well, how much is the penalty going to be for driving the thing and adding some miles to it? Mm-hmm. What is your mileage overage charge?
I believe it's 6 cents.
And how many miles are you going? How many miles are you driving a month?
Okay, let me think. So the mileage on it that I have allotted is $12,000 a year. I just reached it. A safe estimate would be maybe I'll put $18,000 on it this next year.
Okay, so you could just add that figure in there and compare that to the junker. At 6 cents, that's $1,000. Mm-hmm. That's what it's going to cost you, plus your payments. Okay, so if I can sell it today, and the amount I have to write a check for, by the amount that I'm in the hole, is less than $1,000 plus the total of your payments for the next year, then I'm going to go ahead and sell it.
Okay.
But if the amount that I'm in the hole is greater than the total of my payments plus $1,000, I'm probably just going to drive it and ride it on out till the end.
Okay.
Because you're in so deep. But my guess is normally the math will come out that you're going to want to sell it.
Okay.
But you can just run the figures on it and see. But that's the way you do the analysis to decide which way to go. It's not going to be $1,000, $1,500 one way or the other. It's not going to be like a $10,000 difference or something, unless there's some bizarre thing wrong with this lease. But that's really not what you're going to run into. So, hey, good question and way to think about things, man. Very well done. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Matthew's on Twitter. Do you recommend a high-yield savings account for an emergency fund? Yes, if it has no penalties for early withdrawal. If it's a high-yield savings account in the form of a CD, a certificate of depression, no, we don't use those for the emergency fund because you get a penalty if you pull the money out. So if it's a high-yield savings account, it takes the form of more like a money market account where you've got check writing privileges or full access, full liquidity, we call it in the financial world, then yeah, we're trying to get as much interest as we can get. But you need to remember, the big thing you remember about your emergency fund, folks, is it's not an investment. Not an investment. Your emergency fund is insurance. It's insuring you against emergencies. You don't have that money to invest. It's there to protect you. And insurance costs you money, meaning in this case, you're not making any money on this money, which is called opportunity cost. It costs you money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. VP of Ramsey Solutions headquarters, Jamie, is with us. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hi, Dave. Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Where are you from?
We are from South Bend, Indiana.
Cool. What are you doing in Nashville?
Well, we came to see you.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you. Thanks. How can I help today, sir?
Well, I own a home inspection firm in northern Indiana, and I am considering the possibility of buying another one. Mm-hmm. And it seems like a little bit of unique business on how to value it. Mm-hmm. And so I was wanting your advice on how to value something like that when you don't have brick and mortar and you're buying services and contacts and things like that.
Mm-hmm. What percentage of his clientele do you think you would be able to retain?
Well, I would need their participation. In other words, I'd be buying them out, but they would have to continue to work for me. Mm-hmm. If they would just leave if I bought it, maybe 10, 20% is...
Okay, but if they stayed...
I'm thinking probably 90 to 100%.
Okay, so we can just kind of value it based on that then. So what was the net profit on the business?
I haven't got that far on the net profit. The gross sales are probably in the 400,000 range.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When you're getting to the net profit, make sure that does the owner work in the business? I assume they do.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure that it includes a salary for managing the business. It probably doesn't. Okay. He's probably going to call his net profit, meaning his income, what he gets out of the thing. So let me give you an example. If I were buying the business, not you, as an absentee investor, I'm putting a certain number of dollars into the business, and then I need the business to operate and throw off dollars as a return on my investment. I'm not going to be there doing home inspections. That's how you value the business. And so after a manager is paid to run his business, what is the net profit? That's what I'm asking. And then that figure, the business is probably worth somewhere around 4 or 5 times that figure. And so if that's $30,000, this is a $120,000 deal, give or take, something like that. And what that gives you, if you use 4 times the net profit, that's a 25% rate of return. That sounds like a huge interest rate, right? But it's not, because you're buying a small business, which by definition is high risk. This is an ultra high risk investment on the spectrum of investments. Versus if you took the same amount of money, bought a piece of real estate, or put it in mutual funds, it'd be a lot less risk than buying a business. Now, you're taking some of the risk out of it because you're going to have your hands in it and that kind of thing. But along the spectrum of investments, small business is a risky investment. So I'd say about 4 times. If you do 5 times the net, that's a 20% rate of return. Okay? So I'd do about 4 times the rate of return. That's thing one. Thing two is, what's he going to do if you don't buy it?
That's a great question. I think he'll continue to operate in it.
Why is he selling?
I believe there's a few issues. Fatigue. He's been doing it a long time. I think he's looking to step back from it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Recent changes, he no longer just inspects. He has to run the business too, and I think that is maybe not his forte, what he'd like to do. Mm-hmm. So I sense there might be an opportunity there to kind of run that part of it, but use him as the inspection end of it.
Yeah, I think it is an opportunity. What I always ask myself is why am I buying it? If he's going out of business anyway, I could just go get his clients.
Yeah,
because he's not going to be there.
Yeah, these clients we overlap, and they're very loyal to him. He does a great job.
But not if he's not in business or not.
Right.
And so if he's throwing up his hands and is walking away, there's not a lot of buyers for this except you in a town your size. And so, matter of fact, you're probably the only one, maybe 2, or something. But there's not a lot of people doing this. So the point being is, basically, as you said, you're buying a customer list and you're buying loyalty. And so to the extent he and the team come with it, this has value. They don't come with it, it's got very little value, because you can just go get the clients that they lose anyway, is what you would do. And so you just go into the market and compete in the space and start getting more and more market share, and your energy versus his fatigue, it's just competition then. So that discussion devalues it too. So 4 times net after a manager's paid would be the maximum I would pay.
Okay.
in this situation. I'd probably be less than that even. And not because I'm trying to take advantage of somebody or something like that. I'm just analyzing from your perspective what is an investment worth. And as you said, you're really just buying a client list. And if the client list doesn't come, you paid money for nothing. And so you've got to take steps to ensure that the client list makes the transition. Matter of fact, if you wanted to, you could, let's say he agreed to come on board. You could say, I will pay you a certain percentage of what this generates to ensure that he makes sure the clients come over for X number of payments until we reach 120 or until we reach whatever our agreed figure is. But if it doesn't generate anything, in other words, if he doesn't help the clients come with him, then he's not going to get any money, and make that part of the deal as well, just to ensure that everybody's head stays in the game long enough to make this handoff. And that's what I would do. Great question, man. It's a cool business you're in. It's a good business. Thanks for coming by. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Steve is in Boise, Idaho. Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
My wife and I, we have about $70,000 worth of student loan debt, and we have about $10,000 in savings, and that's kind of a security blanket for us. I know that you recommend $1,000 baby step one, and then paying the rest of the debt off with Snowball. Do you recommend that we take $9,000 out of our savings and pay it towards our debt?
Yes. But I also recommend you go on beans and rice and beans, and never see the inside of a restaurant again unless you're working there.
No, we are. We have gone complete Goodell intent.
How much progress have you made since you started doing that?
We've put $10,000 in the bank in the last 8 months. We had nothing in the bank.
What's your household income?
I own a small business, so it really varies, but about $50,000.
Okay. You're probably going to make more progress than that.
Yeah.
In order to get out of this anytime soon. $10,000 every 10 months that's a 7-year plan to pay this off.
Yeah, no, I know. Our incomes will go up. We know that. And then we're working like crazy to get this down. Just that $10,000 is a real security for us.
Yeah.
And just not sure.
Well, it hadn't been there very long, so I don't know why it's security.
Yeah. Well, it feels good to know that we can pay our rent next month.
Yeah. Well, that's what the $1,000's for, and you don't have any reason to believe your income's going to disappear, do you?
No.
Okay. No, I would take it down to $1,000, and I would throw it at this, and that's what I teach, and it's what I believe, and it's what I've done, and it's how I've shown people how to get out of debt for years, and so it is exactly what I would do. I'd walk right up those baby steps. Thank you for the call, sir. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Josh is on Twitter at Dave Ramsey. My student loans are more than my $80,000 mortgage. Do I still kill them off first? Yes. Yep. Student loans are always in baby step 2, regardless of how much they are. The problem with student loans being large is that they are overwhelming emotionally, and you start to feel like you're not going to get anywhere, and so you don't do anything, and then you don't get anywhere. And you don't do anything because you did something like, I'm going to switch that with my mortgage. No. You need to get that Sally Mae out, and you need to kick her and kick her and kick her until she shows up at the curb because you gave her your eviction notice. She can't stay in your house. You have to lean on this, and you have to pound it. That's the only way to get rid of these huge student loans. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Scripture of the day, Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. David Livingstone said, if you have men who will only come if they know there is a good road, I don't want them. I want men who will come if there is no road at all. Pat's with us in Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Pat. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. What's up?
Well, I tell you, I have an opportunity to switch jobs at the moment, and it's looking pretty good that will happen. So when I leave, I have to roll that 401k over into an IRA.
Good.
And start a new program with the company that I'll be looking at joining.
Mm-hmm.
My question is would it be prudent to forego a year of that 401k startup and pay down some debt?
Yes.
$20,000 student loan?
Yes. We recommend you stop 401ks and completely concentrate on your debt when you're in what we call baby step 2. List your debts smallest to largest, pay minimum payments on everything but the little one, and attack the little one with an absolute vengeance. When it is gone, then you attack the next one down. When it's gone, you attack the next one down. And of course, every time you pay one off, you have more money to attack the next one down. That snowball rolls over and over and over. There is a power to focus. Focus creates a power that defies mathematics on a temporary basis. Meaning, I know it's crazy, it's blasphemy in the financial world to tell people to not put money in a 401k, but that's just temporary. Just for a year, like you said, while you knock out all that debt, then you got no debt, and you put 15% of your income into retirement at baby step 4, and then move towards paying off your house, while putting 15% of your income into retirement. But yes, we tell people to do that, and certainly with you making this change, it's an opportune time for you to do that. Malia is on the line in Spokane, Washington. Did I pronounce that wrong?
Malia.
Malia.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I did. How can I help, Malia?
Well, basically, I'm wondering if my husband should quit his job to start a business.
Okay.
So we've been following your teachings for about 10 years. We're on baby step 6.
Good.
But we're selling our house in a couple weeks, and we'll have a good chunk of money from that.
Mm-hmm. Where are you going to live?
We're going to rent a pretty small place, so it'll be a lot cheaper.
Why?
So we're free to leave the area if he wants to leave his job and find something else.
I see. Okay. And so what will you how much cash will you get from the sale of your home?
Over $200,000, about $217,000.
Okay. And so what kind of a business does he want to start?
He's an inventor. He's an engineer. He's got probably 200 inventions, ideas that just need time to do prototypes and Kickstarter and whatever, launch them.
Mm-hmm. So, he's never sold one?
Not yet. He's invented them for his employers, but he hasn't been able to launch one himself yet.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's pretty interesting. And so the employer that he works for has legitimately used some of his work to on some kind of scale.
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he usually makes about $1 million or more for companies he works for.
Okay, all right. And if he wasn't working for a company, how would he market the inventions? Because a company wouldn't be wanting to. They're not going to pay him that, right?
Right. Yeah. He's.
So these are inventions you would take directly to the market?
Well, he'd rather sell them off and just get royalties eventually, but he can't really find a way to do that without launching, at least getting through the prototype and getting some interest first.
Yeah. And how? Whew, it's a very complicated business that I don't know a lot about. And what I have established in this conversation is that he is a real inventor. He's not some jackleg playing around in his garage that thinks he's an inventor, okay? Which is, when you said inventor, that's what went through my head, okay? But you've cleared that up now. I think the guy's real. The question I've got from a business model perspective is how quickly... What's the pipeline from an idea until he actually makes money on it, and can you guys survive that pipeline?
Yeah, and that's what we're not sure of, because in addition to the house money, we've got like $13,000 of savings, plus an emergency fund, plus a retirement, which we wouldn't touch either of those.
Yeah.
But that's what he's nervous about, too.
But he's not allowed, he's probably under a non-compete, and probably any ideas he has while he works for this company have to be given to that company, correct?
Yeah, well, he can do some that aren't in that industry, and he has gone to an 80% work part-time schedule.
Well, yeah, let's do that, and let's get some of these things out of the boat.
Okay.
Let's get a bunch of these non-industry specific things that he's allowed to do legally and morally, and let's go make some money with these on the side. And you know, you got 4 or 5 of those things flying towards the dollars, and one of them sticks, then you can quit.
Okay.
But I always tell, you know, that's my version of when a guy calls me up and says he wants to start a small business. I always tell him to start it on the side. I want the boat to be closer to the dock before we jump from the dock.
Yeah.
I want to create some income on this side business first rather than theory. I don't think this is theory. I think he can do it based on what you told me. This is pretty impressive conversation. But what scares me is, even though I know he can do it, let me tell you what the weaknesses are. People that are engineer types, like your husband, that are very good at these kinds of things are almost always lousy at marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that he might have a basement full of really good, fully developed ideas that he doesn't know how to sell to somebody and turn them into money. I want him to prove that to himself and to you a couple of times before he jumps out of this job.
Okay.
Just for wisdom's sake. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I think he can do it, because I got a feeling that the stuff he's doing is compelling enough that if he gets it in front of somebody, it'll probably sell itself. I don't think he has to be some kind of master marketer of some kind to pull this deal off. But I need a little proof in the pudding, you know, if I'm in your shoes, to do this a little bit more wisely. So, yeah, the things he's allowed to do legally and morally with his non-compete on the side with his 80% work ratio, let's take that, and even if you sit there and rent for a year and you get a couple of these things over there creating some royalty dollars, or you do a straight-up sale or whatever you do, and you get some conviction that you're some proof that you're able to do this, and then you don't get yourself pinched and have to be, you know, hunting a job because we ran through our savings because we hadn't thought this out all the way. But it's a great thing. And yes, I think you ought to do it, but I want to gradually move into it and thereby alleviating a lot of the risk of this discussion. That's what I'm after. Good, man. Good call. Thank you for joining us. Open phones at DaveRamsey.com, and you can call here at 888-825-5225. Sean is on Twitter at Dave Ramsey. I'm in sales, but I'm looking for a new industry. Is it a good idea to get into real estate right now? It's always a good idea to get into real estate. Real estate's awesome. It's a great business. Some markets are hotter than others right now, but the markets come and go. And I wouldn't get in because it's hot. You'll get out when it's cold. That's not how you choose a career. Do you want to show houses? Do you want to list houses if you're going into the residential business? You will be working when other people don't. That's evenings and weekends. All the time. If you're going to do any volume at all, you can count on that. And you got to love people, and you got to like hectic schedule, and you got to like juggling about 43 balls at one time. If you do, I think it's an awesome business. But would I get into real estate just because real estate's warming back up right now? No, I think that's always a bad way to choose when to get into something, and it's always a bad way to choose what to get into. If all you're doing is chasing money, you're probably going to get bored, and everybody's going to be bored with you, and I wouldn't do that. That puts this hour of the Dave Ramsey Show in the books. Thanks to James Childs, our producer, Blake Thompson, our executive producer, Kelly Daniels, our associate producer and phone screener. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
Hey guys, it's James Childs, producer of The Dave Ramsey Show. Hey, this hour of the show is over, but thanks for making us the #3 talk radio show in the nation. To find one of our 500 stations near you, go to DaveRamsey.com/show and click stations.